Do you ever wonder what's wrong with me? Why can't I move forward in the direction of my life that I really want to? Well, if you've had that thought, you're in the right place because today we're going to be talking about why this happens, but more importantly, what we can do about it and use these two practices that will really help us actually move forward. Welcome to the Deliberate Life Show, the podcast to help you put yourself in the driver's seat. I'm Sally Edwards, and I'm here with Dana Middleton, my big sister. Hi, Dana.
Hi, Sally. Hey, this is a good podcast today. You're going to learn so many good things to help you move your life forward, things that we have practiced and we have evidence that they work in our lives. But before we get into it, we'd love if you would like this video, like us on Apple, Spotify, subscribe, do all the things. That's really important to support what we're doing here. Anyway, so let's jump in. Think about how we usually make goals. Like think about, January 1st, the new year, and you're thinking, okay, I want to do this. I'm going to do this big thing. And we think to make our big goals and dreams come true, we have to take these enormous leaps that honestly aren't very sustainable. And we all have evidence of how unsustainable they are by like January 10th.
Absolutely. Sometimes January 3rd,
When you get the ice cream and
That's right.
quit
So it
going
can
to the
go-
gym.
So, okay, but why would you say that happens? Why do we make these declarations, these New Year's resolutions or whatever it may be, and then we just don't do it?
I think because we get frustrated because we kind of maybe let things go for a while and then I need a course correction. And so it becomes this big thing. Now, we're not saying at all that we shouldn't have big dreams and big goals and big aspirations. We are all for that. But the idea of getting to that lofty destination, that you think is going to make you feel good or maybe important to you or maybe of greater service, you know all your whys, and that's fantastic. But when we start from down here and we want to go all the way up there, we think we have to do it in these big leaps. Instead, what really works are small, consistent, I'm going to say that consistent steps that we take daily. And those things add up.
I'm so glad you said that because I am like the classic example of someone who can get really excited, really fired up, really like, I'm going to change. I'm going to do this big thing. I mean, it's been, several things in my life. And then I get so mad at myself because I don't do it. I don't follow through. I don't, and I want it and I want it now. And so, gosh, what I'm having to learn is to be consistent and to take those small steps and be patient. And it's not easy for me. I'm finally learning it, but it's not easy.
You've been doing it. You've been inspiring me too.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of us think, let's just go take action.
Yeah.
Let's take action. We are an action society. So if I'm going to take action, I'll get it done. But what happens is if we are not, I say energetically aligned, if our mindset does not support that action probably is going to fall flat. And then we feel even worse. So that's what we're all about. Let's do the interior work first. And then you're going to have that moment when you're like, oh, this is the right time to take that action. And it puts you in a flow and it works and it feels so good. But it really does start from the inside. And I'm the same way. I mean, so much of my life, I have been 11th hour girl. You know what I mean? Like terrible. But I didn't know better. I really didn't know better. And I didn't think that these small steps would work. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about bringing big energy, big feeling to these small practices repetitiously, consistently, that really change your life.
And it really does work. And I'll go into my science moment here because it helps me to know, well, why does it matter? Why does this work? And some people don't need this. Dana always says, I don't need to know the why, but for me, it really helps. And maybe it helps some of you to know that like we are wired not to change. Our brain loves the familiar. It doesn't want to use the resources to change. And so what we want to do by nature is stay the same. And what we actually consciously want to do is change in ways that really work. And that means that we've got to make things familiar to the brain. The way we do that is we bring things in with, small amounts. It's like anything in our life, right? That if it's too big, we're like, it's overwhelming. But if we bring in a small amount over time, continually, our brain starts to say, okay, I'm warming up to this. It starts creating actually new neural pathways in the brain, which makes it easier for those new thoughts to travel down. And so for me, it's important to know that I am wired to fail in a lot of ways, to do something different. And knowing that if I work with my biology, with my brain, I actually can have success. And that's really important, because otherwise we will not make the changes we want.
Yeah, we want to team up with our brain instead of being at odds with our brain.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as something, if you want to feel more worthy, right? But just start looking. One of the things we're not going to talk about today is looking in the mirror and say, you're worthy, and just giving your subconscious a different thing to think about, a new introduction that starts to embed over time.
And if you do it, like you said, over time, your brain, and there's two levels. We got our conscious and our subconscious. What our conscious starts focusing on will start to tell our subconscious, this is important, pay attention, and it will start to pay attention to the new thing that we're putting in. And that then, because our subconscious runs our life, that will help us to move in that direction.
Can I say a childhood story before we get into the practices?
Yeah, please.
That I really failed at terribly, and I resisted. Do you remember when we were driving across country? I think I was like 12. You were like, I don't know, seven, something like that.
Yeah.
And and our father, God bless him, was the whole way almost, he recited this poem called, what is it?
Nothing takes the place of persistence.
See, I can't remember the name of it. Nothing takes the place of persistence. And as a budding teen, I rebelled terribly. I would not remember this for anything. But I do still have it in my head to some degree, because you, I'm sure, learned it perfectly because you were...
I was at that perfect age. Yeah.
That perfect age to accept it all.
Yeah.
But he was so right. He was so right. And I didn't understand it then. I don't think as kids you do necessarily. Like persistence, what does that mean? But persistence really does mean something. And I'm glad now, oh my gosh, if he hears this, who won't believe I'm saying this. I'm glad now that he taught us that. Because that's a useful thing to teach a kid. Even if a kid is not that receptive to it, it's useful because it actually means something.
Oh my gosh! I mean, at the time, I didn't even understand what we were.
I had no idea what it meant either. It's like, what does that mean?
But I just memorized the words, and then later in life, it's like, oh yeah, that was pretty powerful. Yeah, but I also have to say, Dana, you slept in the back of the Suburban the whole trip out west, so you missed most of it anyway.
Thank God. I get car sick. I was just like, give me the back seat. I'm going to sleep. I don't care. Yes, exactly. I slept the whole way. It was fantastic.
But that I do. It's great that you brought that up, because it is really important, and I'm really, really bad at it sometimes.
Oh yeah, we all are bad at it sometimes, and that's what is our chance as we get older, and we realize, oh, they're tools. Tools.
Yeah.
Oh. And I could be persistent. Oh, and they might actually work. Now, and so today we're bringing you two tools you've heard about before, and they take some persistence. That's why I want to tell that story. But they take some persistence, they take consistency, and they're worth it. And they're really worth it. And if you will give yourself the gift of daily practice for a week, a month, I'm saying a month, you will feel different, and the world will start to show up differently.
Absolutely. And, and I was not someone who was good at this. And about 10 months ago, I finally just drew a line in the sand, and I was like, I am going to do a practice. And I think I've missed one day because of some crazy something. But other than that, I have done it every day for 10 months. And one of the things, or the most important thing I've done, is I've done 2 minutes of gratitude every morning. I also kind of review my gratitudes at night, right when I'm going to sleep, my head's on the pillow. But those 2 minutes every morning are very deliberate, and I've just done them consistently. And some days, let me tell you, it's hard to find things to be grateful for. I'm like, not today. But because I've trained myself, I find them. And once you get on a roll and you start remembering things that you're grateful for, you start searching for things that are grateful for, you find more and more and more. And that's really been powerful. I think it has changed my mind, my mindset. And I look for things because every day I know I got to have 2 minutes. So my mind is like on the lookout for the positive things, for the things
what
to be
can I
grateful
be
for.
grateful for?
Yeah.
And the thing with a gratitude practice, and I'm now doing the 2 minutes every morning. I've added that to my routine, which I love. And it's got to be real. And at first it may feel fake. Like, okay, I'm sitting here maybe with my hands in a prayerful position and I am being grateful for what? What do I have to be grateful for? Sometimes we have to search. Sometimes it's what I love doing is being grateful for one person for a whole 2 minutes. I have been grateful
you
for
told
you
me
for
you
a
did
whole
that.
2 minutes.
Yeah,
and
you
what's
told me that. Yeah,
I
that
know.
was great. And I'm like, wow, that is powerful.
Well, it is
Yeah.
because when we're grateful for somebody we love, it gets emotional. And you're bringing up feelings, and feelings contribute to positive change. So we want to milk those feelings of gratitude. We want to be there authentically with them, and also kind of let us be in that pool of gratitude. It's a great feeling. I also sometimes do gratitude for a person who I might have had a grudge against. I don't have many grudges anymore, but somebody that, you know what I mean? That I maybe have not felt so much gratitude for, but to change that around and be like, no, let's really be grateful for this person. Even if that relationship didn't end well or didn't go in a direction I thought I wanted it to go, why don't I be grateful for them anyway? Because that just will melt any old grudge. It will melt your heart. It will open your heart again. Because when we get grudges, and we're going to have a whole episode on grudges, we close our hearts. And all this is about gratitude, is about opening your heart, opening your receptivity, looking for what's good.
Yeah, and it really, when you do that, when you realize, you've heard it before, like holding a grudge or whatever is like drinking poison and expecting them to die, that idea, that really we do this because it changes us. And then we do see people differently when we do it. It's so important for what it does inside of us. And one of the things I was going to mention that I do, and sometimes I'm better, sometimes I'm more general with my gratitude, but I've found it's really effective when I can get specific. Meaning, like, instead of saying, oh, I'm grateful for my kids, like I'll say, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful for that conversation that I had with Will last Friday night when we were in the kitchen and he laughed and I saw his little 7-year-old boy. And, I milk those details and I feel it inside of me. And that is just really powerful to get that specific with gratitude.
Yeah, your boys at 7, that is my happy place. When I see
Mine too.
pictures of them, I'm just hugging them. Oh my God, I love it so much. It's such a sweet place, such a sweet place to be.
So
But
finding just those little things, maybe it's a quick conversation you had with somebody, even at the grocery store or something, and you just go, wow, I'm gonna hold on to that for tomorrow morning because that person was so nice to me. They were so kind, or whatever. But look for those specifics, and it's really powerful.
And if you've got a really shitty teenager, then you can just be like, have gratitude for the 7-year-old who will come back around.
That's right. It happens.
It's a cycle.
That's right. Or just look at some other stuff for a little while.
That's right. Right.
Wait.
Just I'm going to do some other things.
Exactly. But gratitude
anyway,
is, I was going to say, gratitude is not a new one, but what we're saying is here are some ways to make it more impactful in your life. So, the consistency, the feeling, the specifics. And if you do it every day, it will change the way your brain works. Because now it's like, oh, we're looking for the good stuff. And guess what? You'll start finding it.
Yeah. So 2 minutes. How about 1 minute? 1 minute gratitude. Over time, these are the kind of things where they become non-negotiables.
Yeah.
When you're doing practices.
And listen, you can do it in the shower. You're in the shower anyway. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth, while you're in the car. So you don't have to set aside a special time if you don't have it. Just do it while you're doing something else.
Yeah.
Where it works. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're going to have a thought going anyway
Yeah.
in the
Might
car.
as well. Might as well
You're going to have a
program
thought
your-
in the
Yeah.
shower. You might as
Yeah.
well have a thought that is going to be a useful thought, which is really a new habit.
Yeah. And that will begin to move you forward toward the things that you want, which
Okay.
is a great segue into affirmations.
Number 2, affirmations.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, y'all have heard about affirmations forever. Some people
Yeah.
say they don't work. Some people say they do work, whatever, blah, blah. I think they work in a big way.
And you're really good at affirmations.
I am
And
really
you-
good at
You
affirmations.
are. And you
And
inspire me. Yeah.
if you really need a turnaround, I recommend affirmations. I, at a certain point in my life, really needed a turnaround, right? I was indulging in too much victim energy and too much just negative thinking. And it had taken my life into a place that I didn't want it to go. And I realized, and maybe you're listening to us and you're in that same place, or you've had that same aha moment in your life that, wait, I am driving down a road I don't need to be driving down, but I've just gotten this neighborhood and I don't know how to get out. You know how to get out because your mind gets you out. And it's by choosing to focus on things that feel good, focusing on phrases that make you feel empowered instead of disempowered. You know, a couple that I was thinking about, just affirmations in general. A great affirmation, they can be very general. In fact, I recommend starting with affirmations, and start with one. You don't need to start with a page of them, for heaven's sakes. Is that everything's working out for me.
Yeah. And let me just jump in there, because a lot of times the minute you say everything's working out for me, we might say, but look at this, we look for all the evidence that it's not. And
Yeah.
so that's what we want to say. Okay, yeah, I know all of that's happening out, but I am going to hold lightly without, like all that. It's got, I got to see the evidence, but lightly, what if everything's working out for me? And
Yeah.
just feel like, oh, wow. What if I believe that even if all this crap's happening, everything's working out for me?
Everything's working out.
Yeah.
I'm going to add a little bonus today.
Yeah.
Wherever you're listening or watching, if you want, stay with us right now. But if you would like an extra, I think I'll do it on this affirmation. An extra way to beef up your affirmations, I do a thing called tapping, or EFT, which is an amazing tool to help release stuck energy, but also to help kind of anchor in the energy you want. And I tap my affirmations. So when we talk about affirmations, I want to add a few videos so that people can see what that looks like. So that it's, if you'd like to, kind of add something to the affirmation process, that I think works amazingly.
Well, and I think it gives you, it gets your body involved. And so it helps ground you in that way, which I think is really powerful. And I think that affirmations are so powerful because they can move us forward from our consistent belief of, like something for me would be like, I never can get started. I never can get started. That's one that I've had for a long time. And you realize for me how often I'll say that. So guess what I'm doing? I'm affirming I never can get started.
Yeah.
And so you can actually take the thing that you hear yourself saying and say, okay, I'm going to turn that around, because we literally can reprogram ourselves. And I can just start saying the opposite.
Yeah,
Even
and what's
if I
so
don't
great
believe
about
it at first.
Yeah, when you tap an affirmation, which
Yeah.
you don't have to, by the way. This is just if you want to try this.
Yeah.
When you tap an affirmation, it's like a lie detector. So if you say, everything works out great for me, or everything's working out for me, everything's working out for me, and you're tapping on meridian points, you'll get this thing that says, oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. And we want you to acknowledge that too, because, what's underneath there feels like the truth right now. And if we just push it away, then it kind of can come out in weird ways. So we want to be very mindful about how affirmations make us feel inside. And if they don't make you feel good yet, then you're on a really good affirmation, because it must be, you've got something probably the opposite that embedded that you're working off of. So if something really is hot, we want to make it easier. We want to not, force any of this.
Right. Dial down the temperature on it a little
Yes.
bit. And also by saying things like, well, what if? Wouldn't it be nice if I could get started? Or, those things go, oh, okay, I can live with that instead
Yeah.
of I'm gonna get started.
Yeah. Or
And
wouldn't
over
it be
time,
nice
yeah,
if I felt like everything works out for me?
yeah,
I love the what
exactly.
if or wouldn't it be nice? Those are
That
such great
really
reframes.
help soften it for sure.
Yeah.
Get it's kind of it's like the gentle way in where again your brain will go, oh okay, I can live with what if, and
Yeah.
it'll like let it in instead of just bouncing off.
Yeah.
So
And we
yeah,
want to
very
bring
powerful.
the best energy we can to the affirmation. We want to do it daily. Again, if you could do it for 1 minute, it could be in the shower. It could be right when you get up. When you get up or when you go to bed, those are good places for gratitude or affirmations because that's when we're kind of in that in-between state and our subconscious mind is more susceptible. So that's always a good time. But we also want to hold them lightly.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
idea like, I am this, we always
yeah,
want to say the affirmations ultimately in like it's already happened, like life really does work out really well for me.
yeah, yeah. In the
But
present tense. Yeah,
yeah, in the
yeah,
present tense, yeah, or
yeah.
even in the past tense, like it's already happened. You can
Yeah.
say
Oh, yeah.
that,
Like you're
like
in the future and you're already
I'm in
saying,
the
"Oh, wow,
future,
look how it
right?
all worked out for me." Yeah.
Look at all that prosperity
Yeah.
in my life that happened,
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
But you want to hold it lightly. So it's not this thing that has to happen. But when it's light and it kind of becomes fun, sometimes I'll do my affirmations. It's just kind of like, like dance around the room or whatever and get
Yeah.
excited about it. And then it's kind of more of a game than a thing that has to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And that also when we can be playful, that also helps take that threat down a little bit.
Well, you're right. You're not hammering it. You're not saying, we don't really respond well to authority figures.
Yeah.
And when we're being the authority figure, right? We want to
Yeah.
say, "Oh, you're scary." Don't be scary by saying I have to think something that is not true and that
Right.
I don't believe.
Yeah.
So that is the sneaky part, right? By doing
Yeah.
it small, we're kind of getting in there in a non-threatening way and saying, "Hey, wouldn't it be nice if I
What if
felt
we could,
like,
yeah. What if I could believe this instead? Wow,
yeah,
that would feel great. Yeah, and so
exactly."
and you and I both and to talking about why this all works and the importance of habits, you brought up the fact that you listened to a podcast with James Clear, the guy that wrote Atomic Habits,
Yeah.
and how you were like, oh, this is perfect with what we're talking about this week. And I had read the book in the past and I love his work. But I do think that it is important to understand why habits are so important. And what was it that really hit you when you were listening to that podcast?
Well, a lot of things. One of the
Yeah.
things that he talked about was trajectory.
Yeah.
He was talking, if you're going from LA to New York, if you were to move the plane 6 inches to, I guess, the right, I don't know, whichever way.
Yeah.
Not 6 inches, 6 feet. If you're just
Yeah.
to move the plane 6 feet in a new direction and you take off, instead of New York, you're going to get to Washington. So I thought that was really interesting to look in terms of trajectory instead of destination. It's or success now and how I've got to put all this together now and make something happen in my life. Is that these small steps are creating a trajectory of where
Yeah.
you want to go because it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I love so much, and you've talked about this to me many times, is when you do affirmations, when you're doing gratitude, when you're doing positive works, whatever that is, it's like putting money in the bank
Yeah.
and it compounds.
it compounds.
compounds, right? So the
Yeah.
more that you are invested in a positive affirmation or belief, the more that it grows. And it will just do that automatically in the bank account that is your subconscious mind, which I love so much.
And
Because
it
it
will
took me a long
change,
time
yeah.
to figure that out.
Well, I think it's really powerful, and I think the idea is, if we continue doing what we're doing, hit my mic. If we continue going down the path that we're going, we will not. It's like that airplane. We will go right where we're heading, and that's where our destination will be. And we don't. Oh, we sometimes we just don't have the patience or the devotion. That's a word that you love to make those changes. But if we do those little things, I love that idea that just those little things will take us just that much in that direction, and things will start to look different. But we've got to let them. We got to let them work. We got to give them the time. We've got to do those practices and let that compounding happen for things to change. And so
Because
we can't give up too early.
Because
Yeah.
once you do it, it gets easier and easier.
It
Like
does.
anything. Like
Yeah.
anything you do, you know how this goes. If you go out walk every day, then you walk every day. If you
Yeah.
go to the gym, or if you whatever the things you do, you know,
It's
all the
whatever you
things
do
that we do,
consistently. Yeah.
it becomes
Yeah.
a positive habit.
Yeah.
And another thing that James Clear said that I loved and is so true is there's so many things that are out of our control.
Oh,
You know, I mean, I think with our mindset, we give ourselves the tools to kind of build a friendlier world. But things happen. Things happen. All kinds of things happen. All kinds of things aren't in our control. Practices are within our control.
yeah. That's one thing we can do. That we can every day do the practice no matter what's happening in our life. Even on a bad day.
And if
Even
you're
when
not focusing on habits, positive habits regularly, he also said you're delaying your future.
Oh, that's really good. You're just putting it off. And I've done that a million times. I've just been like, oh, I don't have the time, or I don't have the energy, or this doesn't really work, or, whatever. And it's like, no, when I've done this for 10 months, I now have the evidence that it works because I've done it. And it doesn't take that much effort to do it. It really doesn't. And it's just being like, okay, I am finally going to devote myself to it.
Can you explain to me and to everybody,
Yeah.
what is that evidence? So you've done this for 10 months. How has it changed your life? I mean, if we're going to talk about this, I want people to understand that, this actually makes a difference.
Well, I mean, I think it's really interesting because the month that I started it, which about a month into it, and I don't know if I can explain why exactly this happened, but things started just working out that had been stuck. Like for my children, for me, for my husband, for our work. I mean, I started seeing evidence where, for instance, my youngest son didn't think he was going to get into a certain university, and
You mean the University of Georgia?
The University of Georgia. Wait, look, University of Georgia. There we are. So, I mean, he really didn't think he was going to get in, and he got he opened that email and boom, congratulations, and he got in, and I was like, wow. And again, I'm not saying that we are automatically going to see these external things happen, but it started to seem like things started clicking. But more than that, and of course that's great. I want everything that we all want to happen in our life, but I think more importantly is I started being different. I wasn't focusing on all the things that were going wrong. Literally, like that would be, wake up in the morning. I don't know if you've done this, Dana. You're like, oh, there's this, there's that, and I was starting to focus on all the things that were going right. And I just swear you start to see evidence of it. Yeah. And your life just seems to get in a flow. And I have noticed that in my life, and it definitely is living in a better place.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm in a happier place because of it. For sure. So I think the internal and external, I think you start getting evidence both ways.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I agree with you. For me, with my practices, I know that things come more easily, that all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, I can do that today. Something becomes available to me that wasn't. And also I think it really builds your trust.
Yeah.
Right? It sets a tone for like, oh yeah, this is possible. And even if something doesn't feel possible yet, if you start with something really general and really small, you can develop a trust in these practices then that you can then grow.
And even when you don't see the evidence, right? Like you were saying, you develop that trust.
Yeah.
So you start to, even when you're not seeing it, you stick with it. Is that what your experience has been?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I think I've seen both, the external and felt the internal shifts. Because sometimes you'll be doing an affirmation for a month or two. I remember one I did for like 4 months. And every day I did it, I felt like this is a lie, this is a lie, and this is a lie. Until one day I woke up and it wasn't a lie anymore. And I could feel it. It landed. And I was like, oh, I can take action now here. This is not so fearful anymore. It was that to me was amazing because I remember I had a lot of fear around something and I just could not get myself out of it. And so I just said, this is safe. This is working out really well to my benefit, even though I can't see it yet. Sometimes, this is happening. Sometimes I'll just tap my fingers right in the middle of my chest because that's a tapping point, a meridian point, and it can calm you down.
Yeah.
So that idea of just calming down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're just saying there's lots of reasons to get started, and there are lots of reasons to be consistent.
This is not hard, so try it, and then we would love to hear from you, like what evidence you have, either internally or externally. And a lot of times the internal is that now, like we talked about earlier, now I'm lined up to take the action. And then that starts changing our life because we start taking the action toward the things that we want in a way that we maybe never would have. We would have been like, I'm too scared, I can't do it, or whatever. So that's where it becomes really powerful.
It will give you some courage. Yeah. Give it a week, a month, whatever it takes to show up for yourself. And also when you're doing an affirmation, especially, and gratitude practices, they will morph. They may change. They may lead you to a different affirmation that feels more true as you get going. So listen, the whole thing is about listening and what's going on inside. And speaking of which, next week we're going to go deeper into this, because a lot of times when we start these good practices, we'll do things like sabotage them or neutralize them. So just get started, and if it starts feeling really uncomfortable, don't worry. Next week, we are going to help you with that discomfort, because oftentimes practices, I'm going to say oftentimes, practices bring up stuff. Hey, somebody's at my door. That must be about time to finish up.
Right. That's time to finish up. But or more, maybe it's something really great that's come to your door.
That's right. Imagine that.
Yeah. So no, I think it's really powerful. I can't wait for us to get to that, because I think that if you start practicing something new and you start going like, because you're doing something different. Remember, we resist things that are new. We do. We have the solution for how you work with that and how you deal with the resistance when that comes up.
Yeah, so don't get afraid if things, do you hear that? So don't get afraid if things are, or don't stop if things get a little dicey. Just get a little more gentle. Just be a little more gentle. And then, we'll go from there. So I guess that means I got to go get my door. So, hi, everybody. Thank you. Thanks very much for coming today. Like and subscribe, please. We'd really, really appreciate that. You can join our mailing list at theDeliberateLife.us. That's theDeliberateLife.us.
Yay. All right, Dana, it's been a lot of fun. Keep doing your practices, and we will see more of you all next week.
That's right. And comments, questions, anything that's coming up. We love to hear them in the comments.
Yeah. All right. Have a good week.
All right. Bye.
Bye.